MarkRogersTV, time to talk some Alabama football. We are the voice of college football, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, the audio versions of our conversations with the best bloggers and broadcasters in the nation can be found on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. We bring in Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. You can also join him on his show, The Way It Is, Fox 97.9 weekdays. Stephen, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. Finally excited, Mark, that Nick Saban, Alabama head football coach, finalized his coaching staff for 2018 on last week. I mean, it took him almost 2 months to get this coaching staff finalized. I remember he was in Mobile during the Senior Bowl, and a lot of media pundits wondering when was the coaching staff going to be finalized, who replaces who, and Nick Saban basically stating, once I get a release, I will let you know, or when I feel like telling you, I will tell you. So Nick Saban putting on his mad scientist persona, and he waited until last week, the latter part of last week, that being Thursday, to unveil, release, reveal the finalization of the 2018 coaching staff.
All right, so Stephen, in regards to what's changed, what's been adjusted, who's been added, who's departed, kind of run down for us the highlights and what we need to know that differs from 2017 now to 2018.
Well, for starters, Brian Dable, who was the offensive coordinator for Alabama just a season ago, coming from the New England Patriots and a number of other National Football League teams. He is back in the NFL, and Michael Locksley takes over an offensive coordinator. Josh Gaddis, who served at Penn State this past season as the passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach, he is now at Alabama also as the co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach. Brent Key remains the same at offensive line coach. Burton Burns, who had been the running backs coach for Alabama for 11 years, one of the longest tenured coaches under Nick Saban, Burns now moves to an off-field role. He will serve as the assistant athletics director for football operations. Joe Panunzio, who was the special teams coach last year, will take over at running backs coach, which makes Jeff Banks, of whom Alabama brought in from Texas A&M, he will be the special teams coach and tight ends coach. Flipping this now over to the defensive side of the football, Carl Dunbar, who was the defensive line coach a season ago, is now back in the National Football League with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That brings in Craig Kulagowski, who was a longtime assistant at Missouri. I spent the last 2 years at the University of Miami. Kulagowski, the defensive line coach and associate head coach. We go back to offense for just a moment here. I forgot a very critical name, Dan Enos, who was the wide receivers coach at Michigan. It was supposed to be the wide receivers coach at Michigan. Nick Saban poaching him from the Maize and Blue, and Jim Harbaugh. Enos will take over as the associate head coach and quarterbacks coach, working with the likes of Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones. So back to defense now. After mentioning Craig Kulagowski, Tosh Lapoy, after being a defensive recruiting intern at Alabama, then an on-field coach, an outside linebackers coach, and co-defensive coordinator, he will serve as the head defensive coordinator, the head defensive play caller, while still remaining an outside linebackers coach. Pete Golding, of whom the Tide brought in from University of Texas, San Antonio, he will serve as the co-DC and inside linebackers coach. Carl Scott, Alabama bringing him from Texas Tech University, will serve as defensive backs coach, replacing the departed Derek Ansley, who goes to the National Football League for the Oakland Raiders. So as it stands right now, the new additions were Craig Kulagowski, Dan Enos, Josh Gaddis, Carl Scott. Those basically, Jeff Banks also, those basically your new additions. Some of your promotions, I should say, you would have Michael Locksley, Tosh Lapoy, and also Burton Burns moving to an all-field role.
I wonder if Dan Enos actually received a paycheck from the University of Michigan. Did the man earn a paycheck from the University of Michigan?
I don't think he did, Mark. You would have to actually coach a game. Now,
Or practice.
Or practice, true. He's kind of like in that Mike Price role. Mike Price, the former Alabama coach who never coached a game. Now, Enos' situation is different from Mike Price. Mike Price had a little off-field rendezvous that we'll not get into, but Dan Enos, he actually left for a higher pay grade. So a much different situation than Mike Price, but no, definitely not. Dan Enos did not receive one iota of a paycheck in Michigan.
Well, that's a lot of names flying around. So I'm glad I've got it recorded for all the time that you've covered Alabama football and as closely as you do. Can you remember this kind of turnover at any time?
No. I mean, this comes after a win. I mean, most of the time, Mark, and I've mentioned this to you before, when you see this type of turnover, it comes from after a loss or you didn't meet your dream, your goal, your quota, to use a general store term, but Alabama met its goal. Now, yes, it came with some injuries. It came with some friction at times, but the goal was met, and the goal being a national championship. So seeing all these guys leave out and Nick Saban having to bring a new wave of talent in. Now, of course, some of that rumor was the coaches that were already in pocket, the guys like Daboll and Pruitt and among the others, kind of dragged their feet as far as recruiting is concerned, and Alabama did not land a lot of the guys that wanted to land, and the new names being brought in was able to salvage this 2018 class, so to speak. But the 2019 recruiting cycle is going to be very pivotal for the University of Alabama, seeing how close to half or a little bit over half of the ESPN 300 guys, of the Rivals 150, 200 guys, or however many guys are in Rivals, the bulk of the talent will come from the state of Alabama for the 2019 class. When you talk Talua Tagovailoa, Tua's younger brother, who plays at Thompson High School in Alabaster, which is an hour outside of Tuscaloosa. And you've got Pierce Quick, a 2019 offensive line commitment, 5-star, out of Hewitt-Trussville High School in Birmingham. Then there's Paul Tyson, who's the great-great-grandson of Paul Bear Bryant. He's the quarterback over there at Hewitt-Trussville. So 2019 is a big, big class as far as talent in the state of Alabama is concerned. Saban wanted to capitalize on that talent, which was the reason why he got a lot of that fresh, hot, young blood in the Tuscaloosa.